Hello everyone, my name is Corey and I'm an engineer here at Geocodio. Today, we're going to walk you through how to use Geocodio's distance API to calculate travel distances and durations between locations. Unlike most distance APIs, you can just give us an address and we'll take care of the rest. No pre-geocoding necessary. But if you already have coordinates, we support that too. The Geocodio distance API is built for real business problems. Health insurers can use it to measure patient access to care. Retailers can use it to figure out where to open new locations. Service companies can use it to give customers estimated arrival times. Marketing agencies can use it to define geographic markets. And for large-scale calculations, we're talking hundreds of origin-destination pairs. Our async distance jobs feature lets you process everything in the background. That's something you won't find with most geocoding providers. Let's get started. Geocodio offers 3 ways to calculate distances, each designed for different use cases. First, the single origin distance endpoint. This calculates distances from one starting point to multiple destinations in real time. It's perfect for things like showing a customer the 5 closest clinic locations within a 15-mile radius. Second, the distance matrix endpoint. This handles multiple origins to multiple destinations simultaneously, up to 10,000 calculations per request. Great for batch processing when you need results right away. And third, async distance jobs. This is where Geocodio really stands out. Submit massive calculations to run in the background, get notified when they're done, and download the results. We're talking hundreds of origins against tens of thousands of destinations. We'll cover all 3, with real examples of how businesses can actually use them. Before we dive into examples, let me quickly cover the 2 distance modes and the filtering options. These apply across all the endpoints. By default, the API calculates straightline distance using the haversine formula, which is the great circle distance between 2 points, sometimes called as the crow flies. This is fast and useful when you just need geographic proximity, like understanding how far your gym members live from the club. But for most real-world applications, you'll want to set mode to driving. This calculates driving distance using road networks and returns both distance and typical drive time. Use this for ETAs, compliance reporting, anything where people are typically traveling by car. We should note that we provide the typical driving time and not the real-time driving time. The API also supports filtering. Use max distance to limit results to a certain radius, say 15 miles. Use max duration to filter by drive time, specified in seconds. 1800 would give you locations within a 30-minute drive. There's also min distance and min duration if you need to exclude locations that are too close. And you can sort results by distance or duration, ascending or descending, and use max results to cap how many destinations come back. These parameters work the same way across the distance endpoint, the distance matrix, and async distance jobs. Let's start with the distance endpoint. I'll show you a real use case from the marketing world. Say you're a marketing agency that works with fitness clubs. When you onboard a new client, you need to understand their market, specifically how far away do most members live. If 95% of members live within 7 miles, that tells you exactly what radius to target for direct mail campaigns. The distance endpoint makes this easy. You take the club's address as your origin and each member address as a destination. The API returns the driving distance for each one, and you can bucket them into ranges, 0 to 1 mile, 1 to 2 miles, and so on. First, you'll need to enable distance for your API key. You can do that on your dashboard. Here's what the API call looks like. We're calculating distance from a gym to several member addresses. The response includes distance in miles and kilometers. If you're inputting coordinates, you can also add custom IDs to your locations so you can identify them later. Just append them after the longitude, like lat long member 123. This makes it easy to match results back to your database. For addresses, you can do a string match. For our fitness club example, let's use straight line mode since we're just trying to understand geographic distribution, not actual driving routes. The distance API also supports filtering and sorting, which is essential for certain use cases. Here's a healthcare example. A patient visits your website looking for a nearby clinic. They enter their address, and you want to show them all clinics within a 15-mile driving radius, limited to the 5 closest results, sorted by distance. That's one API call. You can also filter by drive time. Use max duration with a value in seconds, so 1800 for 30 minutes. There's also min distance and min duration if you need to exclude locations that are too close. These filters apply to all the distance endpoints, including the async jobs we'll cover shortly. Here's another real-world use case: estimated arrival times for service appointments. Let's say you run an appliance sales and services company. You've got technicians across the country who install and service appliances in people's homes. A customer has an appointment window of 8 a.m. to noon. At 9:22 a.m., your technician hits the "On My Way" button. You want to text the customer with an arrival estimate. You don't need turn-by-turn directions. Your technicians use Google Maps or Waze for that. What you need is approximate driving time, reliably at scale. I want to note that Geocodio's distance API uses average travel times, and it doesn't take real-time traffic into account. That's a simple distance API call. Origin is the technician's current location, and destination is the customer's address. The response gives you duration seconds, which you add to the current time to get the ETA. 3,060 seconds is 51 minutes. Add that to 9:22 a.m. and you get 10:13. Since this is based on average traffic, you give your technician 10 minutes of padding, and you tell the customer to expect arrival between 10:13 and 10:23. The distance matrix endpoint calculates distances from multiple origins to multiple destinations in a single request. This is a post request. The body takes a JSON object with an origins array and a destinations array. The response groups results by origin, with each origin showing distances to all destinations. The synchronous matrix handles up to 10,000 total calculations per request. Since the request is synchronous, you should make sure that your client-side timeout is appropriately set. But what if you need more? That's where distance jobs come in, and this is really where Geocodio shines. Distance jobs is our solution for large-scale asynchronous distance calculations, and it solves problems that other providers simply can't handle. Let me give you a concrete example from healthcare. In the US, health plans that serve patients with public insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, may be required to report on patient access to care. Specifically, they need to show how far patients live from facilities in terms of driving time. Let's imagine you have 50 clinic locations and 1,000 patients. For each patient, you need to find the closest hospital within a 30-minute drive. That's 50,000 distance calculations, which is the maximum supported. With most APIs, you'd have to break that into thousands of requests, deal with rate limits, handle failures and retries, and somehow stitch it all back together. And with several companies like Google, you aren't even allowed to store the results. It's a massive engineering headache. With Geocodio's Distance Jobs API, you submit it once. We process it in the background. You download the complete results when it's done. You can even set up a webhook to get notified automatically. And you can keep the data. Let me show you how it works. First, make sure your API key is configured to support distance jobs. You can change this setting in your dashboard. First, you create a job by posting to the distance jobs endpoint. You give it a name, your origins, your destinations, and your settings, including the 30-minute max duration filter. You can submit sources and directions directly to the distance jobs endpoint as an array. You can also upload the lists to Geocodio first. Those origin and destination values, 12345 and 67890, are list IDs from spreadsheets you've uploaded to Geocodio. Your patient address is in one list, your clinic address is in another. You can also pass coordinates or addresses directly as arrays. Notice the filters. Max duration of 1800 seconds is 30 minutes. Max results of 1 gives you just the single closest clinic. Order by duration sorts by drive time. The callback URL means Geocodio will post to your server when the job completes. No polling required. Here's another example: retail site selection. Say you're an e-commerce company looking to open physical stores. You have a list of your customer addresses and a list of retail spaces available for lease. You want to know which location would serve the most customers with the shortest total travel distance. Here, origins are your potential retail locations and destinations are your customer addresses. The results tell you the distance from each potential site to every customer, so you can calculate which site minimizes total travel distance. You check job status with a GET request. Once status shows completed, download your results. You get a complete JSON file with every origin destination pair, distances, and durations. One more tip. You can calculate distances directly from geocoding requests. As long as you've enabled distance API permissions for your API key, you can just add the destinations parameter to any geocode call. You get both the geocoded coordinates and the distances to each destination in one response. Saves you an extra API call. And that's the Geocodio Distance API. To recap, use the distance endpoint for real-time lookups, customer-facing features, technician ETAs, that kind of thing. Use the distance matrix for batch processing up to 10,000 calculations synchronously. And use async distance jobs when you need to go big. Compliance reporting, site selection analysis, anything involving high volume calculations. That async capability, processing massive jobs in the background with webhook notifications, is something you won't find with most geocoding providers, and it can save you weeks of engineering time. Links to our full documentation are below. Reach out to support@Geocodio with any questions. Until next time, happy geocoding.